Let's make another monster, everyone. If you all still want capsules or boxes, I would be delighted to pop them, but let's get another monster out of the way first. Now, for all of you who are in chat, I'm going to be calling on you to produce some dice rolls, because I would love a random prompt for what kind of a monster we're going to conceptualize and stat out. And so, Tarn, you have an exasperated look on your face. Because Shukan, is that how you'd address Shukan? With an Asian glow? Tarn, what I'd like you to do, I want to know what kind of monster we should be making in our workshop. Yeah, time for dice rolling fun. And so to do this, Tarn, will you please roll a d4? 1 or 2, we're using the low numbers on a d8. 3 or 4, we're using the higher numbers on a d8 to represent 1 through 7. Reroll an 8, and then 9 through 13. Exclamation point 1d4. All right, we're using the higher numbers. Hark, will you please roll a d8? Lands on a 4. All right. So this is 1, 2, 3. A monstrosity. Now, while we're making a monstrosity, let's spice it up a little bit. It's a monstrosity, comma, but it has some properties of maybe another monster type. Black Wolf, will you please roll a d4 in chat? Alright, we're using the high numbers again. Shukan, will you give me a d8? I guess if it lands on an 8, I'll just let it be your choice. Stops on a 2. Giant. This is a giant monstrosity. Or at least it's a monstrosity with some giant properties. Alright, in what kind of terrain does this creature live? It lives, it eats, it stalks, it hunts, it mates, it hibernates, whatever. Big Sam, will you please roll a d10? Stops on a 2, it's aquatic. So this is coastal, this is a lake, this is the ocean, this is an underground river, something along those lines. It's aquatic in some way, or it could exist along a beach or a shoreline, or a river. And it's not just aquatic, but maybe it lives in waters around another particular biome. Totem, will you please roll a d10 in chat? Lands on a 5, grassland. So this could be interpreted in several ways. This could be a river that flows through an endless expanse of prairie, or a lake in a similar situation. This could be like endless, like a sea of grass goes right to the actual ocean. And we have a shore. If you want this to be purely aquatic, this could end up being something like a kelp bed. But yeah, as long as it's somehow related to water, it could be amphibious, it could be completely reliant on being in the water. It could be a gigante froggy. Now, for the because we have a giant, I think we're going to well, I mean, we have a giant frog, but monstrosities, I'll tell you what, let's take a look at this. In the monster manual, it gives a description of what the different kinds of monsters are. It discusses also, you know, where they dwell and such. But if we take a look at the entry for monstrosities, monstrosities are monsters in the strictest sense, frightening creatures that are not ordinary, not truly natural, and almost never benign. Some are the results of magical experimentation gone awry, such as owlbears, and others are the product of terrible curses, including minotaurs and yuan-ti. They defy categorization, and in some sense serve to serve as a catch-all category for creatures that don't fit into any other type. And then giants tower over humans in their kind. They are human-like in shape, though some have multiple heads or deformities. The 6 varieties of true giant are hill, stone, frost, fire, cloud, and storm. Besides these, creatures such as ogres and trolls are giants. Because monstrosity is the primary category and giant is a catch-all, what this could end up meaning, well, yeah, like otter turtle, like we could have all sorts of Avatar The Last Airbender style monsters. What this could mean, though, is a giant frog, a dire wolf, because those are giant versions of something that's normal, but it's turned into something else. So this is a dire something, or it's somehow like a mutated, upped, you know, ramped up version of whatever it is that we're making. Oh, you gonna head to bed? All right, Coffee. Thanks for the raid and thanks for hanging out with us. So with this, what I would like to do, a dire plesiosaur. Bubonic one, will you roll a percentile in chat? $1D100. Stops on a 30. So we have a medium-sized. So this giant monstrosity is giant because it is the size of generally a person. Medium is like 4.5 feet to almost 10 feet tall. So there's a lot of wiggle room there. But it would be something normally tiny or small that is actually medium-sized. You know, so it'd be something like a dire chihuahua or, you know, something like that. Well, Hark, we're going to make a developed version, but we can imagine that afterwards. Could bring back iguarals? Yes, that's true, Shukan. We could. All right, what is the high stat going to be? Who? Oh, Ahura Xerxes. Welcome to the chat. Ahura, would you please type exclamation point 1d6? Stops on a 1. Its high stat is strength. Its low stat is... let's see. Black Wolf, have you rolled recently? Roll a d6 for me, Black Wolf. High strength, low con. So it would be kind of like a glass cannon. It could probably hit really hard. It's very athletic. But it doesn't have a lot of hit points, or it might succumb to poison or necrotic damage or acid more easily. Now let's determine the challenge rating for our giant monstrosity that is medium-sized. Raven, will you roll a d4 in chat for me, please? It's on a 2, so we're using 0. We're using what, 0 through. Well, we're using the first 12. Shukan, will you roll a d12 for me, please? 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're making a CR4. A CR4 giant monstrosity. Or at least a giant version of some weird animal. Like an aguero. Which is an iguana squirrel, everyone. Okay, excellent. Now, much like what we were talking about here, let's throw out some ideas. Let's throw out some ideas for where this thing lives, its habitat. You know, what is it? What does it do? You know, is it a frog, a fish? Is it a turtle? Is it an iguana? Is it an aguero? Yeah, is it aquatic or semi-aquatic? We could make a completely aquatic animal. It could even fly if we wanted to have it fly. Does it have an acid spit? It could. I don't see why not. You're fine, Black Wolf. An alligator snapping turtle would be the perfect example of a medium-sized aquatic/grassland monstrosity. I'm seeing snake mosquito, a lion turtle, a dire goldfish crow. Well, then here, let's have some fun. Let's take a look at some of the goodies that we can give this thing. You know, is it aggressive? You know, would this thing be, you know, is this very quick and nimble? An angry goldfish, so it's just a larger, it's a dire beta fish. You know, is this thing, is the concept, is this speedy? Hey, TJ, welcome. Do you want this thing to be able to fly? I mean, if it's something like a fish or even a reptile, you know, I'm seeing something like crow. And then with, let's see, let's use the prompts that you all have thrown out there. So this is something that, if we've had bugs and reptiles and fish brought up. Oh yeah, I'd love to hear an update on Volan, TJ. What about some kind of a water-dwelling creature that can inflate with a gas to rise up out of the water and it has a sticky flesh. It rises out of the water. It attracts all the midges and mosquitoes that live in the open plains, And so they hunt in groups. So this animal will puff up, float out of the water. Mosquitoes and everything will swarm to it. It gets stuck to the animal, and then they exhale and they can flop down, and then they feed off of each other because all these little midges and beetles and everything are stuck to them. How about that? A pufferfish that shoots acid gas, or maybe spines. Turns out Volan is the rightful heir to one of the human kingdoms. Oh, what a twist, TJ. How does Volan feel about that? A pufferfish balloon with a naturally secreted adhesive. Sounds nice. Can you just rescind the throne then, TJ? Yeah, and so maybe when it deflates, so it puffs up from its diet in some sort of a chemical reaction to what it could be methane or something, which, oh, you know what that would actually do? That would give it maybe a death burst, kind of like a magman. So if you were to pop one of these things, they might actually explode in, if not fire, then poison gas. All right, so we have river pufferfish that inflate, have sticky skin, explode when killed or deflating, work in groups, poisonous, piercing damage from quills. It is a dire creature. So this could be an eel instead. This could actually just be then a river eel that inflates, has sticky skin, explodes when killed or deflating, works in groups, poisonous. And if not from quills, how about, if they take care of themselves in the water as well, we could also have this be lightning damage. Lightning damage on contact. Ah, I like that, Ahura. So explodes in effectively glue when killed. And so I can see Ahura that would work in nature, such as we're making a natural thing, because if one of them dies, it slows down the predator so the others can escape. Because remember, these are about the size of people or orcs. Technically, furbolgs and Goliaths are medium creatures as well. But so too are dwarves. Would the glue splatter count as difficult terrain? Yeah, furbolgs are medium. We could say that it counts as difficult terrain. They are 9 feet tall. Large starts at 10 feet. They're just tickling that range. I mean, some DMs might say, yeah, you want to be a large-sized creature in a furbolg, I don't mind, or a Goliath. They are, though, as written, medium creatures. Probably not. It might end up undoing itself, if that's the case. around there. Yeah, Shukon, it starts around there. Oh, how about this? If it's not acidic, how about conductive glue? And so if someone is covered in this glue, lightning, maybe it makes them vulnerable to lightning damage because this goop on the outside of the creature is helps. Like they're living 6-foot long eels that float above bodies of water in a grassland and are bug lanterns or bug zappers effectively. And they hunt in packs. Ahura likes it. Are you all okay with this concept? Do you like this? You know, it'll probably have some kind of a grapple attack, a shock attack, of course. Not a pufferfish, but an eel. They just act as a pufferfish because they can inflate sacks along their body to lift up out of the water. They should be terrifying to have around the home. An electric slime eel balloon. There you go. That is you got it, Shukon. All right. Now remember, if you're not just using a solid stat block across the way, which you can, we're doing this in a little bit of a contrived fashion here, because I want to show you that making a monster can be just eloquent. It's reskinning. You just take the stat block, and there you go. You don't need to do any wiggle room, as long as none of your abilities end up modifying challenge rating. Abilities that have the dash next to them do not modify creatures' challenge rating. But let's have fun and just go shopping for abilities and think, well, this would be cool, or how can we really push the challenge rating of a creature within the constraints of it being a CR4. And so, for all of you here, this is the website that I am on, and you can play along at home. The expected CR is 4. We're hoping for a CR4 creature. And now this is where we can dream on paper. You know, if it has low hit points, you know, let's say, well, you know, it's a CR4. One CR4 is a decent challenge for 4 level 4 characters. Eye Dragon? Well, I'll show you. Keep that in mind. Hold on like 5 minutes, Eye Dragon. You have a very good point. Because when it comes to calculating the CR and adding or subtracting cool abilities to make a truly customized monster for your game, this is a way to make sure we're balancing the math. So if we say, you know what, hit points? Let's give it, I don't know, 60 hit points sounds good. The glue wouldn't do anything in damage. It would just, it would probably just give disadvantage on an athletics or an acrobatics to escape a grapple or something along those lines. Well, just bear with me, Shukon. Bear with me. I'm throwing numbers out there for a particular reason. I'm playing it up on purpose. Yep. 60 sounds good. Armor class. Well, you know what? These things have, some fish can be really tough. You know, they have fish scales. They have glue. Maybe the glue helps deflect it. Let's say this thing has a 15 AC. Whether it's natural or whatever, it doesn't matter as long as the total is 15. All right, so awesome. 60 hit points, 15 AC. It's a medium-sized creature, so our hit dice are correct. We come over damage per round. Well, let's see. These things are hunters. They're meant to hunt. We're talking glass cannon. You know, we want them to be a challenge. You know, we don't want our fourth level party members to say, well, we're just going to raffle stomp these, you know, these fish pinatas here. And so I want to have a damage output of 45 damage per round. And these things, as they're expert hunters, now mind you, we're already straying from the fact that we expect things to come to us. They don't necessarily hunt humans, but I want to give an example of what the mentality we can get into when we start playing with numbers. So bear with me. Definitely has a +7 to hit. Absolutely. Uses saves? Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Resistances or immunities? Well, you know what? We should probably be fair and not have it be... well, we'll give it resistance to lightning damage. How about that? Okay, that's only one, so we don't need to worry about it. Because it only really takes effect if there's 3 or more. Save proficiencies? Yeah, these things are super slippery. We're going to make sure that they're proficient in almost all the saves. Oh, you know what? I haven't picked any abilities down here yet that modify CR. By the way, you'll notice this list is different than the DMG because this list does not have the abilities that do not impact challenge rating. Makes sense, right? Anyway, we've dreamed on paper. We said, oh, pie in the sky eels. Now let's go check it out and see our challenge rating 4-5. Okay, not too bad. Our rather vanilla eels at this point clock in at a CR5. We did a good job dreaming on paper, though we're not CR4, and that's what we were aiming for. Whatever would fly around in grasslands and stick to them, Taryn. Probably a lot of mosquitoes, dragonflies, a lot of stuff that would live in a grasslands and like a next to a river or something environment. Well, shoot. Balloon anemone eels? So we say, all right, well, we gotta scoot this down. Where are we drawing the line? Where are we drawing the line? Well, I guess they can deal a little less damage per round. How about 40 damage per round? Nope, that's still not it. Yeah, you know what? I guess their armor class, their fish, you know, if they can expand, that means their skin is thin. Let's make it a 13. Oh! Oh, whoa! What is this? And then we look around, make sure none of our players are watching, and we go over to DPR and we put it up to 45. Ah! They got us. They're too smart by half. Darn PCs always bullying us DMs. However, with this basic build, we have a CR4 monster. This is still a tempting offer, though. When we come down here, and we go, you know what? When they blow up into balloon form, what if that's like casting the enlarge spell on them? And by the way, this is another reason why I love the site. Nah, they should actually just go with the. Here, where was it again? It was the. Blood Frenzy, like the Sahagin. Advantage on melee rolls against any creature that doesn't have all its hit points. They're aquatic hunters. When they smell blood in the air or blood in the water. Blah, 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 blah. Awesome. Now, let's see. Oh, they're totally aggressive also. As a bonus action, the creature can move up to its speed towards a hostile creature it can see. It's going to dart into that cloud of mosquitoes or muffleheads or mayflies or whatever. And then we come down and we say, okay, now what else? Regeneration. Yeah. So maybe they regenerate 5 hit points a turn as long as they, if they're, if they have bugs that they're killing or something. Yeah, I'm really loving this. And then we go to, what else should we have? And one of the things we came up with was, what was it called? It's the ability that the Magmans had. Oh, you know what? That's not on here because that's only increase your damage for 1 round. Well, anyway, so we went shopping and we threw on, instead of heated body, we're gonna get this, but we're gonna call it electric body, and it's gonna deal 10 points of lightning damage. That'll teach you. It's a living bug zapper. All right, now that we've made our perfect CR4 animal, let's go up and find out what. Oh. Well. Yes, Taryn, it is. I mean, you could do this on a notepad at home. This is just a lot quicker. But the math is all the same. Well, what's going on? I don't get it. How did we go up to a 4 from a 5? All we did was, we increased its DPR. Oh, we increased its damage output. Oh, we've increased its effective hit point total. Well, I mean, we're going to trim it back to a 4, Dragon, but I'm doing this as a little bit of an overt exaggeration because when you all are creating monsters, I want you to be happy. I want you to be excited. I want you to not go through the list on this website. I want you to go through this list and say, oh, yeah, totally. It would hunt with echolocation, and you could give it echolocation, and it won't affect the CR. And now you're modifying your monster to be more appropriate to the environment in which it lives, so it doesn't seem jarring or obscene to your PCs. Hey, Victor, good morning to you. You know, we wanted to give it grappler because it would wrap around stuff and shock it. I believe so, Shukan, yes. Grappler, if you give it the grappler ability as per a mimic, it does not affect CR. And so these things are more efficient grapplers. Legendary resistance. Each day that's use of this trait increases the monster's effective hit points based on the expected challenge rating. So we could give it legendary resistance at a C if we keep it at a CR4 level. It would increase its effective HP by 10. Not too much. But what this would mean is, for some reason, it's really slick at getting out of saves. Maybe it's an expert at running away. Like, it's a striker. It balloons, it floats. You know, most of the time it's probably pretty lazy until it goes back in the water and they all, like, peck and feed off of the bugs that are clinging to it and zapped. But for some reason, they can really just wiggle out of saves and situations. Now, if we come over here, you know, we have legendary resistance. You know, the expected, we'd have to put in the expected CR is 4. Ah, come on. I want my sticky wiggle eel bug catchers. You're killing me, CR guidelines, and they're called guidelines and not hard facts because this is more of an art than a science. All right, fine. I'm gonna take away their lightning body. Bah! We're still at a 6. And you see how we negotiate and we build? And I also will urge you to always go back and stick with the core concept. Don't, you know, the mechanics are fun. Stick with the presentation of the monster. All right, I'll take a look at it in a minute, Daily. If it grappled then inflated, what would that do? You could probably just say it would be instead of I don't know. You could come up with something, Black Wolf. In most cases, unless we're talking about increasing its defenses or increasing its damage, it's not going to have an effect on the challenge rating. So in most cases, you can have it do whatever you want. Yeah, you're welcome to share, Victor. And we say, fine, fine, fine. You know what? Regeneration, it's a monstrosity, but it's not a magical fish. Let's take away regeneration. They're still at 5? Fine. They're not a bunch of, you know, get out of things 3 times a day. Oh, hey. Oh, hey. What if they actually had a couple less hit points, though? Do I want 60 hit points at 13, or should I at least bump it up to 14? Oh. Hey. I can still have this be at a 14 AC, and it's a CR4. Ah! My players are too smart. Look at that, at a 15. But, if you really want that 15... Can you buy it at another stat? 50. 40. 45. 48. 49. There we go. The magic number. If you really want to min-max this and cheese it, if you want your AC of 15, it can have 49 hit points and still be a CR4 creature. Hey, Average Joe. 49.8? No, I understand, Shukan. You know, so again, if you want this to be a glass cannon, then you would end up doing something like you could lower its hit points. But remember, at a CR4, someone is hitting, let's say, a longsword. You know, a D8's pretty good. If you max out at level 1, that's 17. So at level 4, you put 2 in your highest stat. So that's a +4. And so if you have 4 fighters at level 4 that all hit with their attack, that is 12... that is 48. 40. So it would only take 1 round for kind of on average 1 round. 4 characters could bring one of these down. And so even with 49, it may seem like a lot, but remember, this is 1 monster at CR4 versus 4 level 4 characters. And in this case, especially because a round is everyone acting at the same time. These are 4 characters that all just light this balloon up, and it will pop after a round. So this might not necessarily be a bad idea. Now, if you wanted to make something called a minion, well, in 4th edition they were called minions. Minions don't technically exist in 5th. Minions, they can only take 1 hit. However, if they save and they take half damage, they don't pop off of that. They save. No, Black Wolf. I was addressing specifically what Shukan was talking about above, with like 1 balloon. Oh, I agree. I agree, iDragon. Now, if we did this with 1 hit point, it's still technically a challenge rating 4. But this could end up giving us some more wiggle room if we wanted to do something and say armor class, because armor class could be based off of dex, off of wisdom, or something like that. Check this out. 17, 18, 19. Whoops. With 1 hit point, this thing could have an armor class of 20. So if you manage to hit it, it'll pop in 1 hit. But you gotta hit that 20 at level 4. No, and Black Wolf, this is the thought process. I want to go through, all right, so here's this, here's some goodies. All right, now we got to walk it back. Well, what about this? What about this? And we say, all right, sure, let's give them pack tactics because they do hunt in groups. They have pack tactics. They can have nimble escape because they want to try and get out of there. And we want them to... We'll actually give them legendary resistance. Alright, we're up to a challenge rating 6. There's only so much we can do, which is going to be things like lower their damage per round. So let's say instead of 40, it went to 30. Ah. But if we really said, no, I want 40 DPR per eel, we come down and say, oh, this beautiful 20 AC, my balloons. All right, fine. But now we're at a 12. But we gave it a bunch of goodies to help it get out of there. Because these creatures aren't meant to fight in a battle of attrition. You know, they're hunters of the wild. They may not even attack humanoids unless they're desperate or something happens first. Or they get that, or, you know, someone is, like, bloodied and the smell of the blood fills the air and it draws them out and they're really hungry. And this is another point as we're going through these considerations. All monsters aren't just going to stand and fight until they die. Many of them will run away. Many of them might not even actually attack straight up. They have to be provoked. They have to be lured. Or the conditions have to be just right for them to want to attack at all, let alone stick around and not try and escape. I mean, if any of you have pets, have you ever accidentally, like you're walking downstairs or something, or you turn a corner, and when I say kick, I don't mean like you're abusive or you're trying to, but you know, your dog or your cat's walking around the corner and you accidentally kick them. And they go scampering off, you know, yipe, yipe, yipe. You know, they're not going to be like, what? And then, like, try and maul you to death for it. They're going to realize, oh, I just got my butt beat by a rando encounter I didn't expect. I'm going to get out of here and hide. And so, remember, don't make monsters that are just always going to stand there and never use tactics, never use the map or their survival instincts. This is a type of monster that you would encounter. Sure, you could encounter these in the wild. In fact, maybe you'd hunt them for food. But it would be more or less if you make them angry, they'll attack in a mob. Or, I don't know, again, if you're dying or something happens and they smell and they go into a frenzy. But this is a monster that wouldn't just be a battle of attrition. You're not going to put 4 of them on a map and then just say, all right, well, I'm not moving my minis, so someone's pile of minis is going to have to fall over before it's clear. Victor, I did not see a message from you, so it must have been too long. So let's take off legendary resistances. Hey, we're back to a CR4, everyone. And now if we go yeah, all right. We have a 16 now. So we got to have our nimble escape and pack tactics, which means as a DM we're going to have to be fighting intelligently with these wild creatures. As these are dire electric eels that can inflate. And they have whatever, like horns and other stuff, which is what's making them a monstrosity, because they do not cleanly fit into the categorization of a fish. They're fish-like. They're also horned. They also have glue and electricity. You want to see how high we can get this up? All right. There you go, Shukan. We can give him 6 hit points. The things I do for you, brother. So use tools like this, and remember, this is not the end all be all. There are so many other abilities that we didn't go through that may not have a bearing on the challenge rating of the creature, but could give it so much lore, so much storytelling potential, or tactics that would make a combat different, but not necessarily more or less difficult. Yeah, you want to give them shark teeth? Make them have slashing damage. You want to give them spines? Make it piercing. The damage type is irrelevant. The damage total is what is. Which gives you the creative freedom to put whatever you want that you think will make the monster compelling. That makes the survive in armor of Ag, though. Oh, yeah, all right. So there you go. In the off chance they get frosted over. So we're going to go and give them... No. By the way, watch what happens if we go to resistances. Woo, we're back up to a 5. Honestly, though, resistances aren't going to do them any good. Not with a low HP like this. I'll trust your opinion on that, Black Wolf. So cool, everyone! We made another monster here. In concept, we have the numbers. We know what we're looking for. Now it's up to us to explain it. Explain the armor class. Is it magical? Is it natural armor? Is it a combination? Is it 10 plus dex plus whiz? And so when we make the stat bar for it, we're kind of retroactively having the stat bar fit the end result that we need it to fit. Nothing wrong with that. Damage per round. This could be 1 savage attack per round, or this could be like a wrap and a bite attack. It could be a multi-attack. The number of attacks don't necessarily matter as long as the average DPR is still 40. So make 1 or 2 attacks for that average damage per round. You know, you know, try and hit multiple people. But I like the idea. Here it is. The only so anything after this is making it look pretty and giving it a stat bar to retroactively fit the end result that we created. Ta-da! We made a monster, everyone. And you know what? Your monster on paper can look all gross and I don't mean a drawing. It can look all gross stat-wise because as the DM, as long as you can describe the creature and you can understand your own notes, you already have your modifiers to roll. You don't need a big pretty looking stat block like this. If you're running this at a dinner table, I mean, you have the notes. If you want to make it pretty, you can. Victor, so yeah, Victor, you're describing the notes that you found. I'm going to struggle with Dark Sorcerer, Valiant Hero, Angus McFife realized he had been impaled by the knife of evil, and after I finished that description, I believe the player had his PC fly into a raging volcano on his legendary enchanted jetpack. Never to be heard from again? Question mark? Yeah, Shukon. I mean, when its health gets low, I think this thing is either going to be alive or dead in most instances. And so Shukon, if you build this exact same fish, ask yourself this: would you rather it be harder to hit at all and only take one hit, or be more easy to be hit but take 2 hits instead, or whatever you'd average it out to be? There's not really a correct answer. These are guidelines. And even in the DMG itself, it says just because you made a CR4 creature using our guidelines doesn't mean you probably should test this monster out. You know, run it through a combat or two, see how it works. And if it does what you're hoping for, there you go. You have proof at your own tabletop, because your game, Shukon, you and I could run Curse of Strahd, and our experiences will be completely different, even if we DM the same way, because of the makeup or the decisions of the characters that are playing in the game. He resolved to make the final sacrifice for the glory of his mighty kingdom, and so I hope then that the character's name was written in the annals of history forever and ever. Alright, well, you know, everyone, while I had fun, my back is absolutely killing me. And I loved making these monsters with you. But I think we're going to go do a raid. D&D time is still going. They're probably at the end. Let's give Pete and Jeremy a raid so I can lay down and take some ibuprofen, because I'm a hurting puppy. And when we come back tomorrow to cap off our workshop, we're going to start adding class levels to monsters. So we can add, we could make a Night Hag a druid and find out if that affects its CR or not. And I hope we'll have fun doing this. Well, I know we're going to have fun doing it, but I hope you're here for it too. All right, Victor, no problem. Thank you for sharing your story. Everyone, I'm sorry I got to cut it a little short tonight, but especially with my chair being wonky, my back is, I'm a hurting puppy. So we're going to call it here right at the normalish 3 o'clock time. We're going to raid D&D time. Oh, watch them. Give those mad lads a follow. They are wonderful in what they do. And if you're ever looking to play a game, sign up to play with them. New players are always welcome over there. So raid D&D time. Let's get ready, everyone, and I'll see you over there. Be well.